For 9 years, Daniel Harper lived 10 feet away from them, waving politely every morning while the town went about its life, never suspecting what hid beneath his floorboards. He was the neighbor everyone trusted, fixing broken fences, carrying groceries, never missing a single greeting, blending perfectly with normalcy while carefully observing every movement. The first clue was a faint metallic smell at night, subtle enough to dismiss but potent enough to linger in the memory of those sensitive to it. People blamed plumbing, blamed humidity, blamed stray animals. Nobody blamed Daniel. Then pets started disappearing. First a cat, then a golden retriever, then a small dog from across the street, one at a time, leaving behind only whispers of worry. Daniel helped search each time, flashlight steady calm voice, soothing the frantic neighbors, pretending ignorance while secretly cataloging fear. Cameras began glitching at 2:17 a.m., always facing his backyard, never elsewhere, a precision that seemed accidental until you considered the patience behind it. A teenage girl vanished one Friday night, walking home from a friend's house. No scream, no struggle, only the echo of her absence. Daniel joined the search, standing calm among the chaos, hugging the family, whispering promises that only he fully understood. The metallic smell intensified, like the air itself wanted to warn the town that something slept below. A neighbor filed a noise complaint, describing sounds like chains dragging beneath the earth, vibrations through walls that made the floor shiver. Police arrived at 11:42 p.m. and knocked firmly, their flashlights cutting through the quiet like knives, while Daniel opened his door instantly, calm and ready. "Evening, officers," he said, voice level, eyes steady, like a man expecting them, like he had rehearsed this exact moment for years. Inside the house was immaculate, symmetrical, staged, no personal clutter, no hint of humanity beyond landscapes on the walls, almost sterile. One officer froze near the kitchen floor, hearing something faint beneath the silence, breathing, slow, measured, human. Daniel tilted his head slightly, as if studying the officer, assessing reactions, collecting data. "Old houses settle," he said softly, masking the tremor of danger in casual words. The breathing returned, a whisper faint but clear, "Help." Daniel shifted subtly, placing himself between the door and the officers, like a shadow guarding something precious. "You don't want to go down there," he said, voice calm but certain. The officers pushed forward anyway, forcing the first basement door open to reveal 3 industrial-grade locks, reinforced steel, clearly designed for containment rather than storage. The smell hit immediately: iron, sweat, and something indefinably human, thick enough to make lungs burn. Each step down the stairs amplified the tension. Every creak echoed like a warning in the silence. A second soundproofed steel door awaited at the bottom. Solid, no interior handle. A vault for secrets better left hidden. They forced it open, revealing 3 people chained inside, pale and terrified but alive. One was the missing teenage girl. The others had been reported missing months prior, from different states, with no apparent connection except this house. Daniel did not resist, did not panic. He observed, calm as if watching an experiment conclude exactly as intended. A detective demanded, "Why?" Daniel blinked slowly and replied, "Because people only feel alive when they're close to losing it." Interrogation lasted 12 hours, yet Daniel never raised his voice. He described the basement as a laboratory of fear, explaining that he never intended to kill but to observe human behavior under isolation and uncertainty. Investigators found journals documenting patterns, breathing, emotional shifts, and psychological breaking points, all organized with military precision. Dates, times, responses, meticulously recorded like entries in a research log. He wasn't impulsive. He was patient, methodical, calculating. The detective asked about motives. Daniel responded that fear made people honest, obedience natural, and silence golden. His calm, almost philosophical explanations unnerved the investigators more than rage ever could. News outlets broadcast images of the house and basement, footage of Daniel calm among the chaos, and the public recoiled in disbelief. Parents revisited memories, scanning for unnoticed signs. There were none. The girl described him as gentle, always calm, never raising his voice, and that terrified everyone more than violence would have. The trial revealed the journals, blueprints for a reinforced basement, and hundreds of photos of neighbors, children, and delivery people, each catalogued with routines and habits. He had memorized patterns, visited missing person towns, planned meticulously over 9 years. "Control is peace," he told the psychologist during final questioning, explaining that chaos existed outside, and his basement created order. He received life without parole. Guards reported he continues to write, observe, and catalog human behavior within prison walls. The house was demolished, basement filled with concrete. New families eventually moved in, planting flowers where headlines once screamed. Children play where chains once rattled, unaware. Cameras on the street still glitch at 2:17 a.m. Unexplainable, a subtle echo of his presence lingering. Emily survived, testified, and moved away, yet still sleeps with lights on, always listening. Detectives revisit unanswered questions about storage units, travel records, and blueprints. Nothing concrete links him further, yet suspicion never fully fades. Daniel Harper remains the study of patience, of silent terror, of a man living in plain sight, teaching the world that monsters wear polite smiles. The metallic smell, once faint, is now memory, yet it haunts dreams of those who survived. The neighborhood learned that evil doesn't always shout, sometimes it waves and helps with groceries. For 9 years, Daniel lived next door, perfect in form, terrifying in reality. The basement remains a symbol of fear, demolished physically but never mentally. People walk past the empty lot, lights warm, children laugh, dogs bark, yet a shiver passes through anyone who remembers the story. Trust is forever fractured, eyes squinting at neighbors, scanning for hidden shadows. The experiment ended officially, but its lessons lingered in the psychology of an entire town. Daniel never expressed anger, regret, or even satisfaction, only observation. And that is what scares people most. The patience, the calculation, the calm. Interrogators replayed his calm smile, the way he observed chaos without emotion. He studied officers as much as victims, a predator of awareness and fear alike. Every detail mattered: patterns, schedules, breathing, reactions, obedience. Months later, law enforcement reviewed hundreds of cold cases, searching for patterns that might link Daniel elsewhere. None were conclusively found, yet suspicion stayed like a shadow, never leaving, always watching. The rescued victims tried to reclaim their lives, but memories of his calm, cold smile and silent observation persisted. Emily's parents never fully trusted anyone again, scanning their neighborhood, imagining the perfect neighbor living next door. His philosophy of silence over rage, observation over impulse, taught them a lesson too late. Evil, they realized, is often invisible and polite, and it waits. In prison, Daniel writes, continues his research, observes fellow inmates and guards alike, cataloging patterns in patience and fear. Interviewers ask about remorse. He asks about survival instead. Did they survive? When answered yes, he nods subtly, satisfied. He considers the experiment successful. The court and the world call him a monster, but he calls himself organized, deliberate, patient. The house, demolished. The basement, concrete. The neighborhood, restored. Yet shadows remain. Every flicker of a security camera at 2:17 a.m., every odd metallic smell recalled in memory, every neighbor scanning streets, Daniel's influence persists. 9 years of planning, patience, and silence cannot be undone. It leaves a mark. The final piece of terror isn't physical, it's psychological. The understanding that someone could exist in plain sight, smiling, helping, perfect, and beneath the floor, observing, collecting, experimenting. That realization haunts those who survived and those who study the case. The town learned that a monster's patience is far scarier than rage, that evil can be quiet, polite, and meticulous, that control, observation, and calculated silence are weapons sharper than knives, that 9 years of watching can become 9 years of horror without anyone noticing, and that a basement, demolished or not, doesn't erase memory. The lesson lingers. Never assume normalcy means safety. Evil can smile at your doorstep and wait. Today, Daniel Harper exists as a study in control, patience, and psychological terror, a case file, a cautionary tale. People talk about him in hushed tones. Textbooks include sanitized versions, yet the raw horror remains. Emily and other survivors heal outwardly but live internally with the memory of silence, observation, and cold calculation. The neighborhood looks safe, but everyone remembers, everyone whispers, and everyone checks doors twice. Because the perfect neighbor isn't always friendly. Sometimes he's watching, always calculating, and the basement you never find is only the beginning of the darkness.